Greetings, everyone. A very warm welcome to another edition of Exhausted to Extraordinary, a mindset hack series with me, Dr. Sharon Grossman. And today I'm joined by Ann Betz. A very warm welcome to you, Ann, from Miami Beach. And where are you hanging out?
I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where it's a little chillier than it looks like it is in Miami Beach.
That's how you know.
Yeah.
If you're just listening to this, you got to go to YouTube to see what we're wearing. Well, Ann, again, I want to welcome you to the show. And if you don't know who Ann is, she is the founder of BEabove Leadership. And she's an international speaker and training on the intersection of neuroscience, coaching, and human transformation. And today she is going to share with us in just 7 minutes how to use neuroscience to become more effective. I am super excited to hear everything that you have to say, Ann, about this topic. And we are going to start the clock right now. Okay. And question number 1 is, what are the biggest challenges your ideal client faces?
Oh, I think it's things like being stressed by just the demands of today's life. I also think that sort of on the flip side, people get unmotivated because they're living lives that may not be their full purpose. And both of those have a huge impact on the brain in terms of really, interestingly, the neurotransmitters that are available to help us think and think well from a place of executive functioning. So we need this stimulation of life where we're living the life that we're here to live, but also a way to manage just the crazy stress that comes at us.
Yeah. So it's both being aligned with your purpose and your passion and like getting through the day-to-day stuff. So big picture and all the details. Yes.
Totally.
All right.
Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely.
Question number 2, what are the typical symptoms that they experience with that problem?
Well, what's really interesting and what I love about having neuroscience expertise is that you go out of just the sort of, am I, what's wrong with me place to begin to understand. I love to share this with my clients that either when you're unmotivated because you're not fully, living what is exciting to you, or when you're overstressed, it is not just a perception issue. It is a neurotransmitter issue. And so the symptoms really of both sides are very, very similar in terms of foggy thinking. It can be low empathy, the inability to actually regulate and kind of look more long-term versus short-term, goal direction, things like that. And really quick example, I had a day yesterday where I just was piled. And then I taught a class in the evening, and I was noticing that I was a little less patient with my students in terms of some of the things that they were wanting to figure out. And I could feel my brain going come on, let's just go. And I thought, no, that's stress. Hold on a minute. They're fine. I'm losing a little empathy because of the pile-on of stress. So it's the same. A big one, I think, is really feeling like you can't focus as well as you might like to otherwise.
Yeah, that all makes sense. And, I'm sure it all ties into burnout as well. Kind of like the more energy you expend, the more kind of your neurotransmitters are going bananas. And
well, because the brain is connected to this thing we call a body, the body is playing a role as well.
That's right.
When you are in this, especially in the high stress part where we look at burnout, what you're doing to create what's happening in the brain is mirrored in the body and vice versa. So what you're doing is you can really drain I'm pointing back here because that's where the adrenal glands are. And so operating at that level, what you can get is an adrenal drain or even adrenal fatigue. That's and right. It's not just the body, it's the brain as well.
Yeah, there's that real connection. So question number 3, what are the common mistakes they make when they're trying to solve that problem?
Oh, I think the common mistakes, and I really relate to this, is self-blame. And self-shame, or the feeling like, okay, depending on which side they're on, and it's you can think of it as a U curve of this, and the stress curve, and it's just, one example of many things that are going on in the brain. But if they're in the too much side, one of the common mistakes is to feel like, let me just work harder.
Yes.
Let me get this blank, under control. Let me try to do that. And then, rather than saying, look, I'm like an overheated car right now. I need to get my needle back to center where I'm more effective. And rather than saying, oh my God, I have so much to do. If I just do 3 more things, I'll feel better. Often you will feel better and you'll be more competent at those 3 things if you do some things to decalibrate on the stress.
Yeah. So essentially moving the focus from focusing externally on how many things you have on your to-do list versus how you feel inside and what you need in this moment.
Exactly. Really, really quick example. I was in a busy travel schedule pre-COVID, and I came home from traveling and I had a huge to-do list. And I'm like, I need to pack for my next trip. And I was really overloaded. And this is absolutely true. I could not figure out what kind of socks to bring. I am not kidding you. I'm just looking at my suitcase going,
just overwhelmed.
Right. And I said to myself, okay, I'm over on the stress curve. I don't need to worry about the socks. Let me deregulate, re-regulate. And then the next and instead of taking an hour to pack, the next morning I felt better, stress was down, and I packed in 15 minutes. Perfect. So it is really, you're more effective if you just stop pushing so much sometimes.
Yeah. So 1 minute, 47 seconds. Okay. And we're just moving along here. Let's see. So our next question is question number 4. What would be an example of a transformation that is possible after this challenge is properly diagnosed? And I think you just answered that. So Let's have you answer question number 5. What's the number 1 mindset hack you could give your ideal client to solve that problem?
I think it's looking internal rather than external, saying where is the system of me that is addressing this problem, rather than how do I get my head around the problem? How is this instrument working? So
lovely. Question number 6. What's one valuable free resource you can direct people to that will further help them with that problem? And you got 1 minute.
Okay, so if you go on our website, BEaboveleadership.com, go to the very bottom, we have a model we call the 7 levels of effectiveness. It's a great way of just looking at, how you move through life at different levels. And if you sign up for our mailing list, you get a free, slightly smaller card that you can carry around and take a look at that. And we have a YouTube channel that also has some resources talking about this so you can understand it more.
Fantastic. And lastly, question number 7. What's the one question I should have asked you, Ann, but didn't, that would give great value?
How did I get into neuroscience?
Oh, okay. 17 seconds. Can you answer that?
Okay, because the idea of human effectiveness became really fascinating to me, to move from just sort of a general idea to what could we validate scientifically. And that question wouldn't leave me alone. So I had to go to neuroscience school.
Love it. Well, I love what it's done to bring you here to this place where now you are also sharing your expertise and your wisdom. So many people are interested in this topic, and for good reason. And I'm so glad that you were able to come on the show and share it with our audience. Thank you for your time. And it was very fun. We could talk about this all day.
Totally. And I have to tell you, I was absolutely terrified when you told me I had 7 minutes to talk about this. So thank you. That was really fun.
You're welcome. Thanks for checking out the Exhausted to Extraordinary podcast. If you like what we do here, head on over to iTunes to subscribe, like us, and leave us a review. It is very much appreciated. And if you're feeling burned out and want to challenge yourself, take the 7-day Burnout to Your Best Life Bootcamp. Go to 7dayburnouchallenge.com to join for free.